Welcome to the New to Wrestling podcast, where I, your host, Xavier Cruz, a lifelong wrestling fan, will take a lifelong friend through the action, the joys, and the drama of the world of professional wrestling. My co-host, Kelsey Silva, has been bitten by the wrestling bug, and I want to invite you to join us as I take her through the moments that made me a fan. So if you're new to wrestling and would like to get brought up to speed, or a fan who would like to relive some classic matches, promos, and segments through fresh eyes, join us as we embark on a journey through the Attitude Era and beyond. Welcome to the New to Wrestling podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the New to Wrestling podcast. This week, we watched the October 7th, 1996 edition of Monday Night Raw, and the match card is as follows. We had Mark Miro with Sable versus Big Daddy Cool Diesel with Jim Ross, quote unquote. Also, quote unquote, around Big Daddy Cool Diesel because who? We had the New Rockers versus the Smoking Guns in tag team action. We had the Sultan versus Aldo Montoya, and we had Goldust versus Psycho Sid in the main event. All right, let's get into it. Yeah. So the episode starts with a recap of Vader smooshing Shawn Michaels last week to close the episode. There was a tag team match between Vader and Jim Cornette versus Shawn Michaels and Jose Lothario. I don't know why his name was escaping me so hard for a moment.
Yeah.
So at the end of that match and the conclusion of the episode, Vader is
victorious
and gives Shawn a Vader bomb.
Wrecks his life. Yeah.
Wrecks his life. Yeah. So much so that he wasn't even there this week.
No, he was on the phone from home in Texas. He was like,
right. He's like, you know
bless
what?
This mess.
He's like, give me a sec. Give me a sec. Let me gather my thoughts.
Because that was too much for me.
And then we get into the first match, which we had the newly crowned Intercontinental Champion, Mark Miro, going up against the, I guess, the debut of this wrestler, the return of the character, Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
Yeah, you had a great quote. You were like, I mean, he's a great wrestler. This is just a bad idea.
Right.
Talking about Diesel. And I was like, that is, because he is. It's just the execution was poor.
Right. Because this whole idea is just kind of like a hot mess, garbage heap.
It is. I wasn't expecting them to make it like Jim Ross's like grievance story, which I know we already talked about.
Right.
But it's like, I wasn't expecting it to be like
what was the reason? Honestly.
Why was it that? Like, I'm so confused, but a lot of confusing things in this episode.
And he also like comes out with Diesel, which is like weird because like they start the episode like Kevin Kelly and Jim Ross are like, where's JR? Like,
we're live and he's not here.
Right.
He's not on his mark.
Like, yeah, pouty patty pout pout. And then like you hear like the train noise, which is the like, you know, the sound of Diesel's like entrance, and out comes Poodlehead, all 7 feet of him, like accompanied by JR. Like,
Poodlehead.
Okay, listen, whoever told him to do that was
it was poor. It was a bad choice, and you're not wrong.
No,
I just wasn't prepared for it mentally.
No,
hit me right.
Neither was I. And then JR joins the broadcast booth and goes and tells everybody. They ask him about the fans being excited about like Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Was like, the fans, they are excited to see new, fresh talent in the WWF.
Which
he is
just a lie.
He is like the grand gaslighter supreme. Like, he is just like absolutely just like on his gaslighting game and is just trying to make everybody else think that they're nuts and
swear. They're like the fans are screaming and he's like, see how much fun they're having, and they're all like,
fully. No, he's like a cult leader, like trying to just like ignore the flames. Like, can't you tell like I'm the one you want to follow? Like,
oh my god, so real. He's like, yeah, they're very excited and happy about this brand new talent I scouted, and everyone's like, I like don't think that's what it is.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I don't believe that's what we were
Don't
going
think that's
for.
what it is.
And then we got Big T, that Vince McMahon was apparently investigating or has opened an investigation onto JR. And now I don't know what that entails or what that means for literally anybody, but I don't know. It sounds
Sounds serious.
threatening, you know?
Yeah, and it's like Jim Ross is like, they're not gonna find anything. I'm clean as a whistle. Like
Right,
they're only gonna,
right.
but then it was weird because then they were like, well, we found out that you're the vice president. And he was like,
Right.
yeah, isn't that crazy? And I was like,
How
how
is
do you
that just
find
like, oh,
that
so that's just
out?
like common knowledge for everybody except
Is
for
that
us?
is
How are
that
you
not
just discovering this?
I was like, I
You know
don't
what I
get how
mean?
you like in that comes up in the investigation. Like, is that not on his office door? Like, I don't.
That's what
That
I
was so weird. They're like, well, I didn't know that. Did you know that? And they're like, no, I had no idea. How did you
right.
not know?
Right. You know what I'm saying? I was like, doesn't that get like
So
a parking
weird.
spot? Like nobody.
You would think. You would
Yeah,
think.
but although it is like the office is like it's in Connecticut and like they have shows like all over the world. So like I don't know like how many of them are like showing up to the office. Like I don't know, but
I
definitely somebody has
guess.
shown you have to show up to get hired, right? Like at some point. Like
Yeah, I guess, but it is weird too that he's like the upper echelon of the WWF. I'm like, is that not you then, vice president?
mhm.
I'm so
I was like, I think
confused.
we're getting our little executive terms a little confused here.
It's like that meme of the Spider-Man.
It's
It's
like
all,
who's in charge? Yeah.
but they're all JR.
Literally just he's your everyman, like
He
he's he's everywhere.
he's every woman. It's all in him.
Blessed. And then we get a promo from Razor Ramon. It's really slow, like his speech is really slow, his accent is really not okay,
Not
and
okay. So talk about things that would not fly today.
that
That
accent
wow.
um just yeah, the liberal use of the word chico was
The
upsetting to
the
me.
liberal chewing of the toothpick and the hey man like
Yeah,
man. I was like,
and where are you like
nope, nope,
uh, uh
no.
and then he said he was going to get a closer look at the match, so you know, can't stay away this one. Where there's one there's the other. Two little what do I think, what, cats in the cradle, silver spoon, I don't know.
Not what I expected you to say it on. I was like, what?
It wasn't what
Cats
I
in the cradle in the
expected.
sea. We're gonna get demonetized again for a song that we should not get
No,
flagged
honestly,
for.
it wasn't a thought until I was like saying it. Like there wasn't there
That's
wasn't
obvious.
Razor's closer look ends up in a disqualification victory for Mark Miro, where they both just attack him after the fact so badly that Sable is just sobbing at Apron's side, just screaming into the ring.
I have to tell you, while Sable looked phenomenal as ever, wait, also, Jim Ross decided to choose violence today and just came for Sable out the blue. Like
Oh, he did.
I don't remember what he said, but I wrote JR had the nerve to say something. Oh, he said that Mark Mayo doesn't need Sable anymore because he's such a good wrestler. Like, why is she even there? And I was like,
Right.
oh, I
I
was
was
like,
like,
this is exactly how you men are. They get on to the top and they're like, I don't need these people anymore. Like, let me just cut the fat and trim the excess. No, how dare you when she was
no.
there from the bottom? Don't start with me, Jim.
Mhm.
But then
Who do you think you are?
I did swear, choosing violence the last couple of weeks, which I'm not here for, but don't talk about Sable like that.
Right.
But I
But
will
stay in your
say,
lane.
I will say this in the spirit of that, I was like, Sable, you literally was it last week? Like got into a fist fight with Sunny ringside, or was that 2 weeks ago? Either way, it was
Whatever.
recent.
Recent.
And then she's just standing there shrieking on the
Oh
apron. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
girl, I know they're bigger, but get in there
yeah.
and throw some
Right.
hands. The match is over. Like, you don't have to worry about a disqualification. You don't have to worry about this or that or decorum or whatever. You literally engaged in fisticuffs with another woman 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Get in there and
Don't
stand by your man.
you cannot go flip flop this,
You
like
can't be flip floppy like
you
this.
cannot
Get
be
in
this
there.
like demure, like what, 1 week and then like actually
Scrapping the next.
right. Like, what is it?
Get in there. I was
Right.
like, she was just stop, girl.
Girl,
Get in
you're not
there.
helpless, clearly.
Obviously, we know you got the hands. Go throw them. Unbelievable.
I was like,
Unbelievable.
these dudes could have taken it.
And
I
then they
love
just
that.
saunter off, and she just like cries over his, corpse, like just
Right,
like
right.
no. I was
Yeah,
like, come on
exactly.
now.
But then it cuts to a promo from the Undertaker.
Undertaker.
He's literally in the grave that he is digging for mankind. It's all like we've moved on from black and white. We're more in a sepia, I guess.
Kind of yeah, it's like slowly coming, the picture is getting clearer, the colors becoming crisper. I'm so into this.
And then he says that his work is almost done. That he is going to fill, all that's left is to fill the grave with mankind's maggot infested rotting carcass.
Incredible. Also, he
Incredible.
said, "You will not have a nice day," and I was
Yeah,
like, "Ooh, that's
we
a
love.
good
I
touch.
love a turn of
I
phrase.
love
I
a
really
callback."
do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you
He's
will
like, you
not
will
have
not
a
have,
nice day.
and then he's like, you will not rest in peace.
You will not rest in peace. Your
And
corpse is infested with maggots, and that's it.
and everything about you is terrible. Goodbye. You're
Boo.
tacky, and I hate you.
Sweat came from in the shortest amount of seconds. He was like, "You're not gonna rest in peace. You're not gonna have a nice day. Your corpse is infested with maggots. You're ugly. Gross. Get
Like he just
I'm not even digging a proper 6-foot grave for you because you don't deserve it. It's maybe 3 feet at best, and that's all you
right.
get."
100%. The world can smell you. Don't care.
So, horrible.
All right, so we transition out of that promo into a tag team match from the New Rockers and the Smoking Guns. Sort of, we get the New Rockers entrance, and then we get a slew of other things that were not this wrestling match. So the wrestling
Yes.
match is the New Rockers versus the Smoking Guns, who are coming off of a World Tag Team Championship loss to Owen Hart and the British Bulldog.
Mm-hmm.
So they're coming to save a little face.
Mm-hmm.
But we get a promo from Psycho Sid, who is in the main event of this episode,
Mm-hmm.
talking about Goldust and how Goldust doesn't understand that he's the king of the ruler of the world, which is,
Which
it's kind of his general MO, which is just like he's delusional enough to believe that he is just in charge of everything, I think.
and it's so crazy because like I kind of believe him. And I think that's like part of his charm because when he like people love him. Like the amount when he came out, which we'll obviously get to later, but like the signs that people had, like the fervor, like when he came out, like people are so obsessed with him. And I have like I get it. Like
I think
I
part of
get the
it is
hype.
like the spectacle of like seeing him in person. You know what I mean?
Also true, because insanity.
Right,
Like
because that it
he's
is awe-inspiring. Like he's a massive man.
massive.
So we have that promo, and then we get a promo from, it's a Mr. Perfect, like perfect montage kind of situation, which is essentially just this like kind of trumpety court,
Like Olympic sounding almost, like
right, music,
Go
playing
USA.
over a montage of Mr. Perfect wrestling, obviously, and also Mr. Perfect just doing things
Just
really
being
well.
good at sports.
Just
Just being good
being
at
good at
every sport they've
every.
ever come up with.
He
Ever.
shoots 3-pointers. He gets holes in ones.
Catches the pig's skin, throws the dart. He
Right,
like when
gets the
darts got
bullseye
involved,
every
I
time.
was like, oh, they're hitting every mark, every single sport you've ever heard of. Mr.
This
Perfect
man
is
is
exceptional
perfect,
at it.
and which is just great because like I've seen those promos before, but I've actually seen him wrestle, whereas you have never seen him wrestle and have
No.
just seen this promo.
It's
So
the
it's giving like yacht dad, like, you know what I mean?
yes. Oh, and he's
Like,
just like I have expected him like he's like throwing the football and then he turns around and he literally did this, like throwing the and he's just like
no,
turns around,
literally,
like smile
and
with
like
the
in the
thumbs
corner it's
up.
just like Sperry's, like, and
Yeah.
you're just like, like and you're just like, what is this
Oh,
for? Like,
scary. Yeah.
I'm
Oh my god.
lost, sir.
And also, I try not to pay attention, but I did look at his costume a little bit, and
Mm-hmm,
it's the
mm-hmm.
same thing, just in different colors.
Yes, it's that
The
like
triangle.
that like wrestling. It's like a classic wrestling singlet because he's perfect. He's classic.
Mhm.
We get a cutaway promo of the Smoking Guns like pre-recorded to this match. It's once again the himbos are speaking. It is
What a
just
sin.
Kronk and Billy, who I only have bothered to remember his name because he's apparently just obsessed with Sunny.
And which is so apparent. And I'm wondering, like, I actually kind of want to see if it creates a rift between the two of them.
I honestly, it's time.
I
Like,
would love to see them break up. I'm just saying, like, there's so many boy bands, girl groups that people just shined a little bit harder when they weren't a group. You know what I mean?
right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let
So,
you guess which one that's going to be.
well,
And
I know it's not going to be.
um so we actually so then the match actually begins, and the first like 5 minutes are not called at all. So the match is just happening on the screen.
Yep.
None of that action is being called because Sunny has called in. Sunny, Sunny, Sunny. She basically says that both of them are in love with her, and that if they were to win the titles back from the British Bulldog and Owen Hart at Buried Alive, then she would consider taking them on again.
Oh, it's so big of her. She's
I
so
know.
charitable.
And
Which
then
also, did she also call in from San Antonio, Texas?
did she?
I'm just wondering. I was like, is she at Shawn Michaels' house? They just both.
LOL. I would
I was like,
die.
this is very suspect that they both called in this match. They're both not there.
Feel
I
like
was
that was
putting
the
the one
thing.
and the one making two together. I'm just saying. I was like, I don't
I
know.
didn't
Is that?
even think about that at all, but I love that your sleuthing skills really came
I was
into
like,
like
I'm just curious if they like. He was like, pass the phone. I'm up for the next match, and she's just
right.
like,
I guess honestly, oh, I
woo.
have no idea. I didn't know that they called in from the same city. I don't think they're from the same city.
That's what I'm saying. So where's she staying?
T.
Anyway, I could be
It was
wrong though.
listen. Last week we postulated that Jerry the King Lawler was in love with Jake the Snake Roberts. So
Well,
like,
I'm right about that, but
so
wait, he actually did mention him again.
I don't know
Oh,
when.
yep, we didn't get there yet. I have it.
Sunny on the phone, it gets announced that Ahmed Johnson will be appearing on Livewire, which is this like show that she hosts where fans can like call in and email,
And
and also hits
facts.
us with the fax promo. Fax promo fresh to you from 1996, hitting you with that like extra digits. Like,
Yep. She was like, and fax me all week, like all week long, just send me faxes. And we are like, this is every once in a while I
heartbreaking.
forget what year we're in.
Right.
And then they hit you with the
Something
fax
hits you
promo.
so jarringly, and you're like,
Yeah.
I can now hear the sound of a fax machine,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and which is upsetting to me because I was never like of age to be like operating a fax machine when fax machines were hot. Wow, I said that sentence. And then and then
And I just was like, yeah. So sad. So sad. You're like, I missed out on the era of like you're like, I
yeah,
just missed it.
yeah. I'm feeling that like FOMO. No, I was saying like, the fact that like I can picture that sound is like
Yeah.
alarming to me. Like that
So
memory was
clear.
like unlocked from that fax promo. JR says during this match that Sunny is a distraction to the Smoking Guns and they would just be better off without her.
Not no.
No, not no, not at all.
Not
Not
no.
no. So the match itself, we had like it was a good like back and forth once they actually started like calling the match. There was a lot of like interference from both teams.
Yes.
So you know what I mean? There was a lot of like they were really abusing that 5 second tag situation.
Yes, which I told Xavier I did not know. I clearly have not been paying enough attention. I didn't understand that. Like I didn't get that that was a thing until today because JR was like, wow, they're the Smoking Guns are really or not the Smoking Guns. The new rockers are really abusing
The 5 count.
the 5 count. And I was like, the what? And then I was
So
like
yeah, so they
watching and I was like,
technically when they tag,
oh.
they have 5 seconds to like get out
Swap.
of the ring to swap.
Okay.
There are matches like tag team matches where all of the competitors are in the ring at the same time. But
Ooh.
those are normally called like tornado tag matches because they're chaotic because everyone's involved.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That tracks. But yeah, that just came to me. And I was like, well, that makes so much sense why they like, there's so much leeway with like doing the tag team, like the double up on one person.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I don't know why I didn't make that make sense in my head before, but thank you for helping me understand. That's why we're here.
Amen. The Smoking Guns pick up the win. And then after the match, for some reason, Billy was shaking his head. Apparently I think there's like a rift between the two. I think there is, because like
there has to be.
I don't think they would have cut to him just like shaking his head about the match if there wasn't going to be like, that they weren't going to be like beef. At odds about Sunny.
And I think it was like, so wait a minute. Let me just be clear. Billy is the one who's obsessed with Sunny.
The blonde one, yes.
Yes. Bart is the one who's the brunette.
Yes.
Okay, so
AKA Kronk.
Yep. So I think Bart had technically gotten not the pin, but he had like been instrumental in making the pin happen, but Billy had done the actual pin. And the ref, there was a weird moment where the ref like kicks Bart out of the ring so that he alone can lift Billy's hand, or like lift only Billy's hand. Because I guess he technically got the pin. And I thought that was weird because I was like, but it's a tag team. Like, why would they both not? So then when Billy comes out of the ring, Bart's like shaking his head all irritated. And Billy like lifts his hand like, no, we did it together. But they're outside the ring. But like Bart just looks so annoyed. And so I was like, was that part of it? And then, so there was already a rift in the promo because Billy had said something about like, and hopefully we win and get Sunny back. And Bart was like, I don't know about all that. Let's just focus on getting the titles back. So there was already like a little high five and miss there. And then that happened, which was just weird, but makes sense. So I would actually love to see them. I would love to see the boys break up.
I'm down for the fight is really what I'm here for.
Yeah, I'm down for like a brother on brother kind of match for something. Like if they were to separate and like Billy keeps Sunny as his manager or something. Yeah, and then like Bart is like rogue and solo and like just does the thing. Like I feel like that would be a great storyline.
I'm here for it. It might be where they're headed, so we'll see. And then so after this match, we get the real Double J, Jesse James. God. So if you remember a couple weeks ago, we kind of briefly mentioned that Jeff Jarrett was caught lip syncing essentially, and apparently there's been a year-long investigation according to this promo.
A waste of resources.
Waste of like how many men? A year long
to figure out lip syncing.
To figure out that the other guy was singing the song, the two guys that hang out, to figure out that the one that wasn't singing it, that it might be the other guy. A year-long investigation.
And he's like off stage, and then as soon as the song's over, he hops on stage and he's like, woohoo! I'm like, guys, seriously? A year?
Is this not the plot to the Lizzie McGuire movie? I'm sick. like, tell me I'm wrong.
No, swear to God. It's, what is it, Paolo?
Sing to me, Paolo.
Sing to me, Paolo. Oh my God.
Sing to me, Jeff.
Sing to me, Jeff. Jesus. Please don't, because you can't, actually.
No, literally. So Jesse James basically goes in on Jeff Jarrett, just saying that he is not a good entertainer. He can't
prefaces
sing,
it though with
can't dance.
Prefaces it.
Yeah,
with,
prefaces it
with he's okay. I have no problems with him, and then rips him to shreds.
No, absolutely. He's like, he can't dance. He has no rhythm. He can't sing. He like, I was like, I was like, no beef though. It's always like it's like that no offense, but and like offensive thing. It's that.
Nothing after but means anything. No offense, but means nothing.
Right.
Offense is intended.
Right. You just don't want any consequences. They also go back into that flashback from the match against Shawn Michaels from 1995 that apparently we're still talking about, and shows like his side of the story about how the trip happened, because he's like, Jeff Jarrett signals for the trip. I was like, yeah, I'm down for that. Because Jeff Jarrett can't win anything on his own, so we were gonna do the double team, and then he gets reversed, and I trip him like by accident. He's like, maybe that's on me for not paying attention, but nobody gets up from Sweet Chin Music, and I was like, oh, thanks for the promo for Shawn, but like,
I'm saying. a mess.
Yeah, it's just so random. It's just so
So
random.
random because they didn't. I'm confused as to why the singing got involved because they could have made the beef solely about the mishap of the trip. Like
Right,
it didn't about the match. Like it didn't have to involve like the lip syncing. Like it's just a random thing to also add. And I don't know if it's just because they need like more evidence, like stacked against what is it,
right.
Jerry? What's his name?
Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett. They need more. They need more evidence. Like I don't know, but I was like, this is
And you
so.
can tell like they're like trying to put this dude down because they use the words it's been a year since he slithered like into like you know what I mean? Like it's like the word choice is also very pointed.
The
In
adjectives
the
were severe.
right. I was
Severe.
like, okay, okay.
He slithered. It
Uh
slithered into his hole or like whatever they said, and I was like,
yeah, I was like, I
after
hate it.
his atrocious mishap in Nashville.
Right. I
It's
was
like,
like, okay. Oh, by the way, we're apparently getting more next week. So
yeah, they were
yeah.
like they're like he'll have more to say next week, and I was like, next week
I was
we're
like,
still talking about this. Oh
I was
my
like, either get in the
god,
ring or shut up. Like
Swift.
I cannot do this anymore.
I don't need his confessional in the studio again because also he was like in the studio with some guy who never spoke, and I was like, is
And
he
it
the
was also never addressed or
never addressed,
named
never
or
introduced, never named, nothing. He was just there, like,
sub.
and I was like, what?
I was yeah, he's Tom from MySpace. Like he's just there. Like he's just
He's your
there.
very first friend on MySpace.
Yeah, and it's just like
Yeah, I was like, I don't need another dashboard confessional from you
I'm good.
about what happened. I've seen enough.
I'm okay. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Fight or don't fight, but
Yeah.
that's all I need. Thank you.
And that's that on that.
Mm-hmm.
So after that promo, we get a promo from Goldust and Marlena. He quotes the movie Psycho like immediately and then tells you he's quoting the movie Psycho. He must have known that we are a little slow on the
Yeah,
movie quotes.
slow on the draw there on the
Um
memory recall.
right. He would basically the gist of the promo was I will rule you because he in reference to Psycho Sid saying he's like the ruler of the world and he's like I will rule you and I was like all right that's big DE over here
Mm-hmm.
so
I
yeah
have to
I
say, they're really growing on me.
honestly because they're just so weird and
So
like
weird.
and I will always respect the commitment to like a character that outlandish
100%. And I love that they're weird together.
yes
Because Marlena didn't say a single word. She just was there like smoking her cigar, just like
like
touching
strong
on
like just
him.
yeah just like a lane like across him.
Yes. And I have to say, and I think it was apparent in the match as well, I really think they're getting more sexual. Like I
Yes.
really think they're kind of like letting it loose a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And which like it was always there, like kind of under the surface, but I feel like it's more like out in the open now. But
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, the now that I kind of really one he is an excellent wrestler, but now that I feel like I also understand like their I
Where
don't
they're
want to say their
coming from.
brand, but like yeah, like the motives behind the characters more I like really respect it more and I just think it's fascinating. Like now they fascinate me because when I first started watching I was like these people are so weird. I mean, I always had respect for Marlena, but I was like, Goldust is so weird. I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand the bowling outfit with the pink. I don't get it. But now I'm so into it. They've really grown on me a lot, I have to
Mm-hmm.
say.
I'm it's good. They're very underrated. Goldust, I think like Dustin Rhodes as a competitor his entire career. Very underrated.
Really?
Yeah. Goldust it like later on becomes a very funny like kind of like a character like actor. He becomes very like a
Oh.
he still wrestles, but like his backstage segments become very like he's just really funny because
Mm.
he's just like one of those people you can just like drop in anywhere and it's going to be like a little bit more awkward and a little bit more funny just because
Oh,
he's
I love
there,
that.
you know?
He adds he's the seasoning.
Right. So after that, we get an interview with Vader and Jim Cornette, which was intense
Intense.
to say
Jim
the
Hornet
least.
was big mad.
Right.
Big
So
mad.
basically, we find out that the Vader versus Psycho Sid match at Buried Alive is now a #1 contendership match for Shawn Michaels' WWF title. So
Big T.
whoever wins that match will go on to face Shawn. Jim
Crazy.
Cornette is outraged. He is raging mad because he feels that Vader has already earned his shot because he has a pinfall victory, be it in a tag team match against Shawn.
Right.
So yeah, he was pressed.
He brought up some good points though. I have to say, we were talking about this while we were watching, and I was like, the things that he mentioned, I was like, are problematic even now, like today, where he was saying because he's pinned Shawn Michaels multiple times, not always like for a title or for whatever. Like he's pinned him multiple times, so he feels like he should get a fair shot without having to fight Psycho Sid even in the first place.
Right.
But he goes, Shawn Michaels is a moneymaker for the WWF right now. Like he is, he's the poster boy. He's on all the merch. He's good looking. He has charisma. Like he just has that,
Right.
that attraction about him. And he literally said, he's like, if Vader was the champion, like the WWF feels like that would eliminate like their moneymaker, or like that their merch
Mm-hmm.
sales would plummet because like Vader's not like, typically appealing as a person, like it, or not as traditionally good looking, or like
Right.
whatever he said. And I was like, I have to be honest, like he's kind of making a good point, because that's also, there's probably a lot of truth in that,
Right.
which
Oh,
is crazy.
absolutely. And that it's like your favorite villains are the ones you like kind of understand. Like, you know what
Totally.
I mean?
Like the
That's like
origin makes sense to me. Like I understand why you're mad. I don't doesn't necessarily justify your actions,
but I
but I
get it.
get why you're so angry.
Right.
So I was like, I've never felt this way before, but Jim Cornette had some good points. I'm just saying.
So we'll see what happens at the conclusion of that match and who is going to take on Shawn.
Yeah, I'm very, very curious. Because also Psycho Sid and Shawn Michaels are allegedly supposed to be kind of like cool with each other, no? Because they helped them in the match, like be in the day with
Right.
Ahmed Johnson, Shawn
Right.
Michaels, and they brought back Psycho Sid so
Uh-huh.
that they could fight Camp
Right.
Cornette.
But I feel like
That was like a
it was,
one
yeah.
and done.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're going to try and like build too much on that, like them being like homies. But I
Word.
will say that they just in that, like, Shawn has what everybody wants, which kind of negates a lot of friendships.
Which it's funny, he said that when he gets on the phone later, he says something about like there's really no friends when it comes to being
The
the champion. Or he
championship.
said something,
Yeah.
yeah, the championship, yeah, the title. And I was like, I
I guess
guess,
yeah, I mean, well,
yeah,
that's the thing is like there is only one and everybody wants to be the guy holding it. So
true.
like to an extent, like you can have your friends, but everybody wants your spot no matter what they say to your face,
It's lonely at the top.
Amen. So we finally get to our third match, which is the Sultan, who was accompanied by Bob Backlund and the Iron Sheik,
Mm,
versus Aldo Montoya, who we haven't seen since he faced Jim Ross a couple months ago,
I
weeks ago.
forgot about that.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've seen Aldo.
Or Aldo Montoya. He's a good wrestler, but he really just looks like if a Ninja Turtle and a Power Ranger came
Mm-hmm.
together. And sometimes I get a little. Isn't he also like besties with Jake the Snake? Aren't they like
Apparently,
homies?
right? But
Yeah, that's all I
uh,
know, really.
and then
Sorry, sorry, Aldo.
so Bob Backlund,
Ooh, this was rough.
crazy,
Even in
crazy as
terms,
ever.
the threshold was already
Hi.
really high, like for crazy. And
Right.
he just came through and punched a goddamn hole in it and went berserk. And I was
So
like, I
he sits down, and the first thing out of I wrote it down because it was the most outrageous thing I've ever heard. I can't hear you without my glasses on. That is the first words out of the
and it was screamed. He screamed the whole time, like not even like yelled, like literally fever pitch, manic, rupturing your larynx, screaming,
screamed. And they were like
screaming.
trying to get him to like share an opinion about something, and then he's wearing these like sunglasses, and they ask him about the sunglasses, and oh, do you know, I'll tell you why I'm wearing them. And he's like, they're like, okay, why? And he's like, because I've been asked by the WWF to wear them. And he's like, all right. They were like, why would they ask you to do that? He's like, so that I can't tell people not to take drugs anymore and not to curse in front of their children. And then like he's like, oh, but I'm gonna like judge you anyway, and then flips
Oh,
up the glasses to his regular glasses, and then gets this close to the camera, and you're like, and it was absurd, and he's just screaming.
but he was screaming and he was going off and off and off, and like the WWF didn't want me to scrutinize anybody. They don't like the way I look at the audience. They made me wear these sunglasses. And he was going off, and we were so transfixed watching it. When he flipped those glasses up, it was a wrap. Xavier and I were literally cackling because it took you so off guard, and he was so close. We had to like stop and go back because we missed everything that he said after that, because we were laughing so hard because it was just so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Who keeps letting this man come out here and just rage? And like he's clearly not on script. Like there's
no,
you know what I mean? Like, what does that have to do with the dude that he's supposed to be out there like representing? Not a damn thing.
Not a damn
not
thing.
one, not even an iota, an idea of how far off he is from the point. Like this man is just, he's like the drunkest uncle that you just send out into the world. Like, and
drunk, it's giving hard drugs. It's giving drunk is the beginning. The hard drugs are the climax,
right?
And the sunglasses were the conclusion. It was so out of pocket, so unnecessary. And like we said last week, if you make Jerry the King Lawler uncomfortable, something is severely wrong. Because Jerry the King at one point, and it happened. Jerry the King was like, I don't know, trying to like diffuse it. And he was like, he's wearing sunglasses indoors because his future's so bright, he needs shades even in the dark. And he literally, Bob Backlund turns and screams in his face, "That's not why I'm wearing them." And he's like, "Oh, okay." Like it was.
And then at one point he shouts, "Don't look at me." He just keeps yelling over and over again, "Don't look at me." And I, in my head, my immediate first thought was like, I also don't like to be perceived. So like I was like, okay. So I was like, all right, cool. But screaming it at the top of your lungs is probably not the best idea to accomplish that goal, Bob.
Yeah, like it's like playing like hide and seek, but then telling someone where you are. You're like, I'm so good at hiding, and then you're wearing like neon green and sitting in the middle of the floor. It's like,
got it.
I'm confused as what the point of this game is now.
And I'm also confused for your just general mental state.
Yeah, like, are you good? No, I literally was like, I honestly think this person needs to go to rehab. Like, I'm
the fact that they just let this man come out every week and do this is like insane.
To me, that just says like they're just as afraid of him as we are.
We all are.
And they're like, just let him go. Just let him go.
The match. The only thing that I remember, like really remember,
and I'll never forget it,
is the Sultan throwing Aldo into the turnbuckle. And I've been watching wrestling since I was 2 years old, everybody. And I have never heard a turnbuckle sound like that. It was horrible. And you knew it was bad because he, like, the force in which he hit the ground after, it was, and then they played it again, and it was
why? I was like, don't play it again. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. The smack, and the match ended very shortly after that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was like
the Sultan legitimately gets the camel clutch.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was like, legitimately injured, because
I have no idea. I don't know, but it was like not good.
Not good. It was very, very not good. Yeah. Oh god.
And literally it was the only thing like of note. Like there was lots of great things that happened in that match, but I will forever just remember that turnbuckle.
I'm literally gonna wake up in the middle of the night hearing it and be like
shook. After that match, we get a promo from Mankind with Paul Bearer. Mankind is in the grave and he is freaking out. Mankind is scared. Mankind does not want to be buried alive. He does not want to have his corpse be rotting, maggot infested flesh.
I get it, I
I
guess.
same. I understand. But this is like the first time we're seeing him like, you know how like last week you like alluded to him like cracking? Like this is
Mhm.
him like
Cracked.
right. Like
They
the
cracked Gretchen Wieners.
100%. Like the little crack on your windshield has now just
Safe Flight
escalated.
can't help you.
No. No. So yeah, so this is the first time we're seeing like mankind freak out. So that's kind of interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, and Paul Bear's just like, you won't. He's like, I don't want to be buried alive. And he's like, you won't. I don't
Right.
want to be in this grave. You won't be. Like,
Yeah. He's like,
it's very
fuck.
manic, which
Mhm.
again
Right.
works. But I was just like, oh wow, they're both cracked,
Right.
turned,
Hmm.
gone.
So
Bye.
can't wait for that one.
Yeah, because there's gonna, I think, like you said, I think there's gonna be a level of desperation
Hmm.
because he's so scared that will just like reach a fever pitch, which I am both delighted and
Scared.
terrified to see.
Yeah.
So
Sounds right.
cannot wait.
All right. And then in our main event, we had Goldust with Marlena versus Psycho Sid. Yeah, this match was great. I enjoyed this thoroughly. We had a comment from Jerry the King Lawler as Psycho Sid was making his entrance about what was it, being a bellhop at the Bates Motel?
Yeah, he said like the only thing Psycho Sid should be is a bellhop at the Bates Motel. That's a good one. I'm not gonna lie. That's a pretty good one.
Right. As the match like goes on, we have this one moment from Goldust where he was getting real bold in the corner with
Mm-hmm.
Psycho Sid. So he has Psycho Sid like in the corner, he mounts the ropes and starts raining down
Mounts is
like
the perfect word.
yeah, headshots, and then proceeds to start like, doing the gold
Gyrating.
dust. Yeah, literally that's the word I wrote down. Gyrating in the corner over Psycho Sid's like body. And like at one point, it looks like he's like grabbing the back of Psycho Sid's head and like pulling him in towards his like
Mm.
crotch. And then Psycho Sid like comes to and like knocks Gold Dust like off of him. But it was like it got pretty far before.
It did a little dance on the line and then it jumped back real quick, but it
Right.
was close to
Yeah, they
crossing
were
the
definitely
line.
dancing on the line.
Very,
Yeah, they
very
were tap
close.
dancing on the line of impropriety. Like,
Yes.
I was like,
Yep.
what's happening here? I was
Yep.
like, I know this one, but like, y'all shouldn't. Like,
Yeah,
stop.
oh, swear. Not on TV. Not on TV. You shouldn't know this.
um,
That's for behind closed doors only.
I, only.
Only.
This
That's
is a
it.
family program.
I swear. It was.
So on the phone, we get Shawn Michaels calling in from San Antonio. We get his like reaction to Sid versus Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he's like, what did he say? It's like having to pick between like
Getting hit with a baseball bat or getting hit with a shovel.
right.
It's like
And I
you're
was
just
like,
getting hit. So.
right. He was just like, well, there's really not much I can do about it. So
Mm-hmm.
I just gotta prepare as that is like his MO is just kind of like,
Yeah.
eh, I don't know.
I'll just do what I gotta do. And I was gonna say I love it because one, his phone call, like there wasn't a stutter, a stammer, a moment where he was
Mhm.
just like, yeah, like it's the different, like he just is so
Right.
easy breezy. So I again I say this every single week when we talk about Shawn Michaels, like I so get why he is like
The
the
guy.
apex right now. Yeah,
Mhm.
because like he's humble, but he's not like self-deprecating where he's like I don't even know why I'm the championship. Like he has like that level of confidence where he's like obviously like I'm a good wrestler and I can get out there and I'm a workhorse and I just like
Right.
face my opponent and get up every day and do my thing and la la la. But he's like still so humble, like he's a great wrestler and I just gotta, think about what I gotta do and da da da. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just he's just so good. He's
Right.
just so good. And his phone call, like I said, it was short, it was sweet. He didn't stutter. He just like said what he needed to say, and then he was like, "All right, bye."
Boop. Marlena has a little moment where she blows smoke into the mouth of Psycho Sid while he's like
Again,
laying on the corner.
very sexually.
Right.
Like he's laying, and she literally like grabs his hair, but like the way that she does it was like such like a caress, and then she like pulled it back and was like, I
Right.
was like,
Oh,
"Whoa,
I was like, okay.
whoa."
And then Jim Cornette comes out on commentary,
For the
just
last like 12
just to add a little
seconds.
sizzle to the match. Honestly, because one, they only had 5 minutes left of the episode to do this match. So
Mm-hmm.
all of this is happening within like the span of 5 minutes. So Jim Cornette joins the commentary team. He's commenting about how Psycho Sid has stolen the power bomb from Vader, even though it's a pretty common move. It's
Mm-hmm.
Right. Psycho Sid gets the power bomb on Goldust, gets the 1-2-3 pinfall victory, and then Vader attacks.
When
And
Vader attacks.
obviously Psycho Sid's caught off guard, so he's, succumbs to the initial onslaught. Vader goes up to the top rope, gives him like a big splash, and then Psycho Sid proceeds to get up while Vader has his back turned, like immediately, just absolutely no sells the move, gets up, and like Vader's just like, and then the episode ends with Psycho Sid chokeslamming Vader, thus kind of leaving us tantalized for what's to
Literal
come.
insanity.
Right.
Jim Cornette was so scared, he told Vader to make a run for it.
Right.
He was like, run! Like, after
Right.
he got up after the big splash, he was like, just run!
Mhm.
And like,
This match gives very like Godzilla versus King Kong
yes,
vibes. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of like energy where it's like these like massive like beings, and we're all just supposed to be like scared for the destruction, just
Yes,
being
and
like in proximity.
I mean, I think that Jim Cornette says that, where he's like, in his little interview, he was like, it'll be a match like when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, which
Right.
is just, that makes sense to me.
So we'll see what happens there. It's all going to culminate in this Buried Alive pay-per-view. We're going to have one more episode of Monday Night Raw before we get to the pay-per-view. So guys, look out for that. That's going to be exciting. But that wraps it up for this week of the New to Wrestling podcast. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it as always. And we will catch you here same time next week.
We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.